Piece of poop. Piece of poop. My browser just bye-byed himself again. Ugh. All right.
That's the outtake right there. Piece of poop.
Piece of poop.
Welcome, everybody, to the Headliner.app, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy.
All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Headliner.app. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Foley. He's your host, Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network. And we have a sweet sponsor in Gear Up Sports. Gear Up Sports is a youth sports platform focused on solving the uniform and apparel headache for coaches. If you are a youth or high school coach and need uniforms or player packs, please contact them at www.gearupwithus.com and make sure to mention the R&R Catcast. I was thinking a little bit about them today. Basically, if you need some swag for your company, get a hold of them at Gear Up Sports. Thorny, we're here. We're going to talk defense tonight. Second part of the offense-defense theme. Man, let's get this thing going.
Part 2 of the preseason, I guess part 3, technically. Yeah, preseason episode, last preseason episode, because next week's going to be game preview week. Back to our normal.
What's part 3?
Well, we did the pick the entire Big Sky Conference. So we talked a little bit about there. So it's our third preseason, not game-related episode. If you will.
Right. Oh, all right.
Time flies by.
Yeah, it does, man. Yeah, I'm already starting up school stuff. I taught a course over here at our Teacher Institute just this week, and so I'm back in school mode already.
Wow, crazy. Love it.
Yeah,
because that means football's around the corner.
All right. Well, let's give a little bit of a rundown of what we got going on in this episode. Thanks for joining us. If you never joined us, we're just two dads. We're just two Montana State Bobcats riffing about Montana State. And we've been doing it for about 7 seasons now. So got a little bit of practice. But yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, welcome.
Today, we're gonna talk about the news. There really wasn't much news that came out. There was no new polls, no new major things besides President Waded Cruzado retiring. So we'll riff on that just a little bit. And then we're going to get right into the defense. We'll roll into the 2 deep, the starters, and then any kind of defensive talk. Thorny's shaking his head. Did I forget something?
No, I'm just shaking my head around, like loosening up, doing some stretches, getting ready for the marathon that is this podcast.
So we have some Golden Coolie questions, and Thorny's going to peruse X for any kind of comments on that.
X going to give it to
us. Okay.
Millennial joke alert.
For the listener, if you just a little pull back the screen a little bit. I had running club tonight, so I've already had a couple, and Thorny had a little couple too, so we're a little loose. Here we go.
A little loosey-goosey.
But first, let's talk about what's in your Golden Coolie.
What's in your Golden Coolie?
I actually don't have a Golden Coolie tonight. I have a cocktail, drinking some Diet Coke and rum. Yeah, nothing to say there. Just classic, except the diet part.
Okay, well, that reminds me of our very first episode we did. Clanky, icy on the glassy kind of deal.
Yes.
Hopefully that, but whatever.
I'm better at hiding my noises now. I have a mute button. Worst case scenario here, if I had to refill mid-show.
Okay. I'm literally looking at my beer for the first time. I've been holding it in my garage fridge. My wife brought it back from Portland. I don't know who makes this. I think it's Wayfinder Brewery out of Portland. It's called an Amber Lager, or maybe that Wayfinder is the name, or maybe it's called Into the Dream. This can is super confusing. There's too much.
You're doing a great job, though.
Thank you. It's a tall can. You know, it's like one of those ones that you fit in your koozie, and you're like, oh man, you're jutting out of it. So, yeah, it's an amber lager from Portland. There you go.
What does it taste like? Have you even taken a sip yet?
I haven't even cracked it. Let's get it. Okay, there we go. Hold on.
We are rip-roaring off the content here, folks. It doesn't even make sense. Rip-roaring off the content. Killing it.
Yeah, it's all right. It's not my favorite amber lager. It's kind of weird combination, right? Amber lager.
I was going to say, what do you mean is your favorite? I don't know if I ever had an amber lager, unless an amber is already a type of lager inherently, which I don't know the answer to that.
No, I wish they would have just decided on just go full on amber or just go full on lager, whatever. But yeah, my wife bought it, and yeah.
The good news is, in the end, it's all still beer.
Wayfinder, into the dream.
Well, let's get into the episode.
All right. So, no new football news, but I can't remember if it was just Monday. Maybe it was just yesterday.
Good news is yesterday was Monday.
Yeah. President Waded Cruzado announcing her retirement from Montana State. When that came across, how did it make you feel?
A little bit shocked. I don't know. I guess I hadn't really considered the possibility. I didn't think she was that old, number one. I don't know actually old she is. We could potentially do an entire episode on this alone. So I haven't done any real research here on this subject, but I always kind of thought that we would lose her to a bigger school before she retired, but I guess she'd been here for quite a while, so maybe that part was gone. Maybe I just kind of lost track of how long she's actually been at Montana State, which is pretty crazy. She's been here for what, at least 10, 12 years? 14 years?
15, yeah.
Yeah, because it was like 2010, 2009. Because she was the one who really spearheaded getting that stadium bowled in. That's crazy. That's a long time ago.
So when we were at school, we were in school from 2001. I graduated 2006 and went back, got my master's after that in like the 010 to 012. Jeff Gamble, Joffrey. He was our president. So I was not on campus when Waded, I mean, maybe as a grad student, but I don't really count that. Her success, her attitude really was infectious, right? She was all about Montana State from the get-go. And I love that about her. She was a champion for athletics and for school spirit.
Yep.
And I'm going to miss her. When I saw her retirement come up on the screen, I was immediately bummed. I was like, no, like who's going to replace her? It was like, oh man, that's like a huge thing. And I texted one of our listeners and he's like, yeah, that's a big story. Like that's a big replacement, bigger than any football story we have right now. I mean, I guess, hey, wind it back a little bit. There's Justice Perkins, right? He got hurt a little bit. So there's some football news. He goes, this is bigger. Waded retiring is bigger than that. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
Well,
Montana. Go ahead.
Well, she just has such an infectious, like, energy about her. Like it's hard not to get excited about whatever she was talking about. And luckily for us, she was often talking about Montana State athletics and the future of Montana State. And I know if you ask some people around campus and stuff, she probably ruffled some feathers along the way, but there's no denying the success that came out of the Montana State University as a whole, the athletic programs as a whole. And we've seen both sides of the equation because, I don't really know much or have anything against like Jeff Gamble before her, but we can see what a really good president can do. And we've seen from other schools throughout the conference, just looking around the Big Sky Conference, what a anti-athletic president can do. It can be pretty devastating for a school. And then we've also had a really good athletic director in Leon Costello coming off of Peter Fields, right? So that I can unequivocally say Peter Fields was not the best athletic director in the Big Sky Conference. No offense to Peter Fields. He did fine. But we see what a true leader and a true champion of athletics and a school and all these things can do. And we've had a really good string of that. And what Ed Cruzado did so much for Montana State just beyond the athletic program. So huge loss, and a lot of Bobcat fans and alumni around the country and world are going to be, saddened to hear this news.
Absolutely. I think if you're a recent student, you might not feel this as much as we do, but as alumni,
because it's all you know at this point.
Exactly. When we go back and we see the campus and you see, oh, that building is new, that got updated. Oh my gosh, that looks different. The energy, the vibe, it's just, you're like, holy cow. It's the best time to be a Bobcat right now.
It's great.
And and it has a lot to do with President Cruzado. So collectively from the R&R, we tip the cap. We'll miss you, Waded. If you ever want to come on the podcast, we'd be super nervous
See?
Nervous to talk to you. Probably fumble just like I just did, but that'd be sweet. We'd love to have you on.
Well, Cat fans listening to this, Ryan Foley right now, raise up your golden coolie. Let's have a sip for Waded Cruzado. Cheers.
Cheers. Pour one out for the homies. All right.
You just couldn't refuse it, could you? Just couldn't stay away from it. I'm not pouring any rum and coke on my carpet.
You were thinking it, though. You were thinking, okay.
Of course I was thinking it. We grew up at a certain age watching certain TV shows. Of course, we're going to all think the same thing.
Okay.
Like the X going to give it to you. We're right back to it.
Dude, we had a couple before we got on. It's kind of dangerous. Okay. Justice Perkins. Let's talk about that real quick because that was some news. We hadn't thought about it.
I think it's a huge deal. And I asked you and Zach, I texted you like, who's going to replace him? And I don't think either one of you said anything to me. I know that the younger Perkins came in the scrimmage and from all accounts was not stellar for the first few snaps. I believe Cole Stain would be the backup, but he's also hurt. So who the heck is going to start at New Mexico?
Well, Zach Nyland is the freshman, is on the 2 deep right now.
So why didn't he come in the scrimmage?
I don't know. His last name was not Perkins. Sure, dude. I really don't. I was surprised by that as well. I was like, I'm pretty sure it was Zach Nyland on the 2 deep. Why is the other Perkins?
Maybe Nyland dinged up too, because I see Cole Stain is the top of the depth chart at right guard on the depth chart I'm looking at, but he's hurt obviously. So the depth chart, it was a preseason depth chart. It's subject to change.
No, forgive me on this. I'm pretty sure Cole Stain's taken some snaps at center before.
Well, he has, I'm pretty sure. So that's why I thought he was the assumed. Well, if Perkins, in the event Perkins goes actually down, Cole Stain, I thought would be the guy, even though he's not listed as the backup. But well, it's interesting to see what's going to happen there. It's it really dampens my optimism for an FBS upset if our general Justin Perkins isn't going to be out there. Starting somebody who's like making their first career start at center at New Mexico is not ideal.
Yeah. So Tommy Malott aside, if I asked you, name one other player on the offensive side you don't want to get hurt, is it Justice Perkins?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Because every other offensive lineman, although the starters are really good and better than the backups, I think there are some battles and there's guys that can step up. Center's tough, man. Perkins, I think you and I, at least I, have lamented a little bit about Perkins' size and blocking ability from time to time. He gets beat once in a while, but you can't deny the ability he has to get guys lined up and to get that perfect snap off and to not screw any of that up, get guys where they're supposed to be on their assignments so the whole offensive line is functioning as a well-oiled machine. So it's hard to replace a guy like that, man.
Yeah, it is. I think as fans, we are maybe overreacting just a bit. And here's why I say that. Al Johnson's have been planning for this for a long time. They plan for everything. They plan for Connor Moore to go down. They plan for Marcus Ware to go down. They have this planned out. For us fans, we're like, holy cow, Justice Perkins 40 plus starts. Dang, he's not going to be starting the next game. What's going to go on? And that is a real thing to be concerned about. But Montana State has already thought about this.
Well,
they have a plan.
Sometimes you can have a plan, but you don't have. You still have to have the pieces. You still have to. Just because you can think of something doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, well, no, I know. But
I know what you're saying, though. Obviously, they've prepared the best they can, but at some point, personnel becomes the personnel, especially in the FCS. So we'll see.
All right. Well, we'll keep tabs on it, and
Something
we're
to keep
about
an eye
a
on.
week away from the game. So
All right.
we hope he gets back soon. We
Any
hope
other
it's just an
news?
ankle.
We want to talk about? Yeah, I guess ankle or knee. I've heard both.
Well, Tomcat came out on Bobcat Nation. He's like, I heard it's a knee. And everybody's like, ah. And he's like, I heard it's an ankle. And then you're like, well, I hope it's not one of those high ankle sprains because those can be kind of nasty.
Yeah.
And then people are like, well, Troy Anderson came back from it in like 2 weeks.
Troy Anderson was a freak of nature.
Laws of physics did not apply to Troy Anderson.
No. He applies to the laws of physics.
It's like Troy Anderson is to Bobcats what like Chuck Norris is to everybody else. So,
Absolutely.
there you go.
Okay. I think
right.
Were the top 25 polls out?
They already were. We talked about them last week.
I know Sam Herder came out and talked about he predicted the strength of the finish for the Cats. We don't need to get into it. I think he finished at the Cats going 11-1. So it was good to see a national analyst kind of come up with the same, pretty similar to what you and I had predicted when you actually looked at the schedule and penciled the games in. Like, well, I don't see them beating us. Well, I don't see them beating us. Boom! All of a sudden you're 12-0, 11-1. I think he has us losing to UC Davis on the road, which right before Cat Grizz. Certainly a trap game. Certainly a hard game to win.
Was that not the same game I predicted?
Yeah, I think you had
lose?
I think you might be identical to Herder. I had us losing to Eastern, I think.
Pretty sure just Sam listened to me and said, yeah, Foley's got a good idea. So he just mailed that one
our
in.
boys up to? Oh, well, Foley's the smarter one. I'll go with whatever he says. You think that's how it went down?
Pretty much.
Well, maybe it was.
You owe me, Sam.
No,
Know how to
you're
reach
both
me
going to
too.
be saying sorry, Thorny, when I'm the one who's right at the end.
Eastern. Yeah.
Don't want it to happen, but
somebody on the Golden Coolie or one of our threads said it's okay to pick the Cats 12-0, guys.
I saw that.
It's like it's really tough.
It just
really
feels
tough.
weird, man. It feels weird.
I feel like you did it one year. Wasn't 12-0, obviously 11-0. I feel like
it might have been. Yeah, we could go back and listen. I wouldn't be surprised if I had done it.
Yeah,
could have been last
bold
year.
prediction, Ryan Thornburg.
Could have been last year.
Hey, let's talk about right now, just off the top of my head. What's the max we lose?
The most games we lose?
Yeah.
I can't just spring that on me. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I can't see us losing more than 3 games.
That's a great
though.
question right now. Just tell me.
3.
Your gut reaction.
3 is the max.
3? Wow. Okay. I'm trying to process that. 4 was in my brain. 4. 8-4. That'd be a bad season for us. What does 8-4 get us?
I mean,
Coach Vegan still here? 8-4?
Of course he is.
Serious?
Why wouldn't he be? That's a first round bye.
Is it? Yeah, it's a first round bye.
And if we get crushed by the Grizz in Bozeman, and then have a first round bye, and then get crushed in Bozeman in a second round game or something, then sure. If we finish 8-5, so I guess he could be on a hot seat, but I don't think 8-4 doesn't matter until it's more about what happens in the playoffs at 8-4. But 8-4 after, no, I don't think it's a problem.
I think the number one thing the Montana State needs to focus on this year is getting one of the top 2 seeds in the playoff. Home field advantage.
Well, we got to beat New Mexico. I'm pretty convinced we got to beat New Mexico.
Yeah, I think. I was looking at some of the stuff today. I think we can. We're like 8-point favorites right now, and I try not to buy too much into that.
How many points is Justice Perkins worth? I shaved 3 off of that.
Wow, man, That's a lot.
I don't understand gambling.
So just because of that, so let's say Zach Nyland is the offensive backup. He's on the two dip.
Double dip.
Double dip. He's considerably bigger. I mean, he's 6'4", 291. So if we're just talking mass, can you put a body in block?
Where do you see 291 at?
I'm looking at the two deep.
What two deep are you looking at? Do you have a more updated one than me?
The PDF I told you to get down.
I'm looking right on Montana State's website. I see him at 6'4", 280.
Oh.
Anyway,
yeah.
He's still bigger. However you slice it.
Colsane, 6'4", 292 too. So, I mean, basically, you put in Colsane there, Zach Nyland, they're the same body type. So, if you're just saying, hey, can we block? I mean, mass kicks ass, right? Big enough.
All it takes is one snap over quarterback's head for a turnover to completely change a game.
Yes, I mean, like, we don't need to go back to the Weber State game a couple of years ago.
Yeah, just ask Weber State how important that stuff is.
Making the calls, making the coverages. I mean, there's so much going into a center that we're not even thinking about. But, yeah, I know. All right. 20 minutes into this, we haven't even talked defense. And this is what this episode is about, is the defense, Thorny.
Defense. Yeah, we just lamented about Juarez Cruzado. Way more time off on the offensive line and the center position than probably we've ever talked about ever. But let's get into it. Let's get into the defense.
All right, let's talk about the two deep. Do you have the two deep, or do you need me to read it?
I just said I did.
All right, let's go. You do it.
All right, well, you just want to read it out? What are we doing?
Well, I think last week we went right through the offense. We just went, well, you went through each position. So go for it.
All right, well, let's go on the defensive line. First of all, we got Kenneth Iden at the end, backed up by Hunter Parsons. It's crazy they're both juniors. They don't seem like they're the same class to me, but here they are, both juniors. Because Hunter Parsons has like hardly played. He played a little bit last year.
I see Kenneth Iden as a sophomore on my paper. Interesting.
Now I got to dig into the bottom of this. Well, he's a junior according to the roster, so like the actual roster, not just the two deep.
Okay.
So maybe you're looking at some old crap.
Is this his third year? Yeah, I think that you're probably right. He played his freshman year.
Anyway, Iden, Parsons, both juniors, I think will be pretty solid there. Defensive tackle, Paul Brott, this is the big one, replacing none other than Sebastian Valdez, this senior. I think he's going to be a senior who's now at UW. Or Zach Black, a guy we've talked about quite a bit on this podcast. I think we both think he has a lot of potential, but he's been injured in and out of the lineup a little bit. But I think he's going to be a big contributor this year. He's going to have to be because Paul Brott and Zach Black are two guys replacing Valdez basically. But some pretty good size there: 6'3", 6'4", 290, 275 respectively. At nose, we got Blake Schmidt coming back for his senior year. He's up to, 300 pounds, according to what I'm looking at here. And backed up by Washington State transfer Alan Eckert, who's just all muscles, according to his pictures. 6'2", 280. We'll see how that translates to the field. But, we'll get into the discussion on it. I just want to finish the reading through this here. And then on the other end, we got preseason defensive all-conference Big Sky MVP Brody Grebe coming back for his senior year. And backed up by the Missoula product, Zach Cruz. I'm actually optimistic about the defensive line. I was kind of apprehensive coming into the year after losing Valdez. And who else did we lose? Was it just Valdez? Somebody graduated,
Ben
right?
Seymour,
yeah, Ben Seymour. That's right. He was a big starter last year. But
David Alston.
I think this group right here has a pretty good chance of being more productive at a deeper level. I feel like last year was kind of the stars. I think this could be a deeper team that actually rotates. It's been a while since we actually rotated as much as I know Vigan wants to, and I think this squad has the ability to possibly do that, or then go like 8, 9 deep.
Yeah, there's some players that on here that we haven't talked about, like Hunter Charbonneau. We've heard good things about him. I think a key contributor is Alec Eckert from Washington State.
He's the wild card to me.
Yeah, without him, the rotation doesn't feel as solidified, right?
Who else do we have there on the interior, if not him?
See, I kind of think Paul Brock's going to go over to nose. I think him and Blake Schmidt are going to rotate over there. I think Zach and Alec will be tackle.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the rest of the roster here. The other guy that I've heard a little bit about, I guess coming out of camp, would be is it Talon Marsh? Is that how you say his name? Is it Talon?
That's how I've read it. Yeah.
He's 6'1", 280 coming out of redshirt freshman out of Helena Capital. I think wasn't he was like an MVP, right? High school level.
Not sure.
Pretty highly regarded guy, but he's 6'1", 280. I've heard some stuff coming out of him, but I think I think you got it right. I think that's probably what's going to happen. And between Brott Black, Schmidt, and Eckert, I think it's a pretty solid interior. It was a pretty good size. And I'm really excited about the ends. I think Iden is going to take another step forward this year. Brody Greby's Brody Greby. And I'm really excited to see what Zach Cruz can do. I imagine he'll be kind of a situational pass rushing duty right now in his career. He's a sophomore. He's 235. He's a little, he's got to pack up probably a few more pounds. And Hunter Parsons is 245 over there on the Kenneth Iden side of it. So I don't know. I think it's a solid defensive line, man. I really do. I think it's deep. The star power might not be there besides Brody Greby, but I think it's really talented group top to bottom.
Hope so. I think first year vegan, we rotated just out of necessity, right? And I like that, how we did that. And then the last couple of years, we just kind of had the same guys in the front. And to me, just as a fan, I feel like we do better when we rotate. And so the depth is always huge on that. You see, when I've been watching the games in the last couple of years, I watched South Dakota State mainly. Like those guys on the defensive front, they're switching like all four coming out, and they're just like rotating. There's something to that.
Yeah, and I think we really rode, especially Valdez. I feel like Valdez didn't come out at all last year.
No, I mean, why would you? Right? He's a 6-figure player.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you still got to take breathers, man. Like you said, South Dakota State has dudes that are, I mean, they got guys that are probably close to Valdez's level.
Yeah.
But they're rotating them in and out.
So
that's what North Dakota State does too. That's what both those schools do. They have talented guys, but they're all selfless and they rotate in. I feel like, I don't know if we didn't trust who we had behind Valdez, or if it was just, I don't know what it was. He relied a little bit too much on the studs there on the defensive side.
Yeah. I think between you and me, we'll agree. The depth on your lines in the FCS dictates how your season's going to go.
Pretty much. I mean, it depends what kind of defense you run. But when you run like a 4-2-5, yeah, your force got to be good.
Yeah. We have a great coach, Coach Howe. I've been watching a little bit on him. Unequivocally impressed. That guy is just a great communicator and coach. And you look at any of the defensive linemen who do interviews, they're like, he demands 100% from us. It is tough every practice. And I'm like, yes, that is a coach I want. Happy to have him.
Yeah, we need to talk about that at some point too. So I don't know if you want to just transition to that now, or do you want to finish running through the 2 deep, talking about the coaching transition?
Oh yeah, let's get through the 2 deep.
Okay. All right. Do you want to do linebackers?
Yeah, sure. So I'm noticing my weights are different than yours, and so I think yours are a little bit more updated. So I would say for the listener, just add a couple, like 5 pounds to every guy I'm about to say.
I have the roster pulled up, so if you have a question about someone, I'll dig through it on the actual current roster, which according to Bobcat Nation was updated pretty recently.
So in the 4-2-5, we have 2 linebackers. We have the Will and the Mike. The Will is led by McKade O'Reilly, who all of a sudden is a senior.
How?
It didn't just.
How?
I don't know.
Doesn't make any sense. Make it make sense.
I don't know. It just feels weird to see Mikhail O'Reilly as a senior. Anyways, he is a senior, 6 foot, 214. Cole Bullock, by all accounts, Coach Vegan gave him a shout out just the other day, and Bryce Greeby, juniors and freshmen. So those are your backups for that. Cole Bullock is in his second year for in the program.
He's
Maybe
a senior,
third.
though. He was a JUCO guy, so.
No, he's a junior plus.
Well, the roster says senior.
Well, see, well, then I'm going to default to you. I think then you'd probably be right. So, Mikhail O'Reilly, man, a senior just trips my brain every time.
None
I
of this
see
says
that.
junior plus, though. That's interesting. Does that mean like a COVID senior where he can come back if he wants to?
I'm not seeing. I'm not.
What the hell is a junior
This document
plus?
doesn't say what the plus means.
Usually that just means like returning letterman or something.
Like a freshman, like a redshirt freshman or something. So yeah. All right. So Mikhail O'Reilly, he's going to be the starter. Mike is going to be Danny Ulala Kipa. I
Think
I
you
said
got
that right.
it?
I actually said that right for
I
the
believe
first time
so.
in my life. Okay. And I'm pretty sure Danny U had some sort of preseason second team, third team.
Yeah,
All Big
he
Sky.
did make some preseason honors, yeah.
No. Neil Daly behind him, who's a name we've been hearing about because, well, Bobby Daly is his uncle or some sort of relation on that. I probably just butchered that.
They're not spelled the same.
No, they're not. What if that's totally wrong? And I just made that proclamation right there. Anyways, Neil Daly was hurt last year. We've heard good things to be determined, right? And then freshman Ryan Crea. And I don't know much about that dude. So Danny U.
He's a bison. That's all you need to know.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Go bison.
Great Falls boy.
Woo.
There you go.
Rustler stink.
Oh.
I don't know if you know this. If you're listening to this, I'm a Great Falls sort of alum, Great Falls High alum, and he's a CMR alum, so we're kind of enemies. That's what that was about. How do you feel about the linebacker crew?
Well, I like it. I mean, I'm really hoping Danny U stays healthy. He's kind of like the Tommy Malott of the offense, where you're like star player, but gets hurt quite often. So
I think Danny has to have a big year if the Cats are going to be good on defense. I think if I could pinpoint one player on the entire defense that I need to step up and have like his best season he's had yet, he'd be one of my top candidates. And he's capable of it. But we lost Callahan O'Reilly. There's going to be a lot that he has to do. And you look at those backups, they're unproven guys.
We didn't lose Callahan O'Reilly. We lost Nolan Askelson.
Askelson, thank you. I was thinking about that earlier. I'm like, was O'Reilly 2 years ago? We need Danny U to have a big year.
So when I listened to him on his kind of interviews, he was talking about, hey, I'm getting faster. That's my goal. It's just to get faster. And he needs to. He doesn't have that inherent speed, but he has the smarts to be to the place where he needs to be.
Yeah.
He's not the Troy Anderson where he's like, I can erase this play because I can just athlete you. I don't know what I'm ever trying to talk about.
Yeah, I got
He
you.
can't make up the difference Troy Anderson can make.
No, Troy Anderson could take a step in the wrong direction and still get back in time to tackle a guy like at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Not a lot of guys can do that.
Hot take from Ryan Foley. I'm not impressed, or not impressed is the wrong word. I'm not feeling like super hyped about our linebacking crew.
No, I mean, if I had to look at position groups on the defense, I would say I'm most concerned about the linebackers. And I wouldn't say I'm concerned. I would just say that I would believe that's the weakest of the three when you consider secondary linebackers and defensive line.
Which is interesting.
I don't
to
think
me
they're
because
weak. But
no, but I feel like in the 4-2-5, it doesn't highlight the linebacker.
no, but they have to make plays in space, and they have to be fast and cover. So that's why both our linebackers are. I have them both at 220. So they're right at around that 220, outside linebacker speed because we don't have that 240, 245 middle linebacker type. That's just not really what the 4-2-5 does. They're basically like bigger safeties.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Right.
And then we have the nickel, who's like a big linebacker. It's kind of a weird defense.
To me, the nickel is the linchpin for our defense. I feel like the nickel is the most important spot on our defense because we ask the nickel to do so much. Run fit, pass fit, playing basically like a third linebacker. Like that person has to be all around, not only fast, good in coverage, but tough and resilient. Like Ty Okada.
Yeah. Oh, Ty Okada was another guy who erased masked some other problems with the defense because he was Ty Okada.
Yeah.
Because he could cover up some mistakes, or if the defensive line wasn't getting pressure, Ty Okada could still make some plays or cause a sack, like a coverage sack, because he could cover and he could tackle guys behind the line of scrimmage. He could do a lot of things. So if we're talking, traditionally you talk about, three position groups when you're talking defense, your defensive line, your secondary, and your linebackers. I think we should talk about four position groups. Nickel. It's an entire position group in its own in this defense. We've got Miles Jackson, who is listed as the starting or, and then the or being Caden Dowler. So Miles Jackson come back for his senior year. He's 5'11", 190. And Caden Dowler, who was having kind of a pretty solid campaign last year, kind of a breakout a little bit, and he got injured and missed most of the season or the rest of the season, but he's 6 foot, 200. Is he the twin to Taco?
Yeah.
Even though they don't look all that much alike size-wise. But yeah, we got Caden Dowler there, 6 foot, 200, sophomore. I feel pretty good about the nickel spot.
I do too.
I think between Miles Jackson and Caden Dowler, and then possibly you could drop Drew Polidor down there, or like Andrew Powdrill down there in worst case scenarios.
Correct. What we demand out of our nickel is run support. Can they be tough? And they can they cover in the flat?
Open field tackling as well.
Yeah, they have to be able to be the third defender, set the edge, contain, and they just, to me, the nickel is kind of like the straw that stirs the drink for our defense. Now, this is coming from a fan, but I was reading up on. I want to say a big shout out to Bobcat Built Texan, who is high school coach, a former high school coach, or a current high school coach, is posting on the Bobcat Nation board, just giving some detailed stuff about the 4-2-5. Sounds like he ran it in Texas. I mean, that kind of stuff is good stuff for me to learn about and read about. But just going back in history, the nickel spot for Montana State is really important. Like Troy Anderson. Was Troy Anderson a nickel? Was he a hybrid linebacker? Was he the buck? The answer is yes. He could do it all, right?
Yeah, but there wasn't really a nickel spot, or at least not the way that it was before.
No.
Before Vigan for sure. Jeff Choate, at least not in his first couple of years. I think he kind of morphed into it a little bit.
Yeah.
With the personality he had.
He was the Mike linebacker,
But yeah, it's a hugely important position, and we ask a lot out of it, and I think we have several candidates who can do really good work there. Are they Ty Okada level? Probably not. Do they need to be? I mean, probably not, but they got to be one of the best players in the defense.
Before we move off to nickel, I just feel like that's a spot that Montana kids can fill. Like, if you're like a sophomore,
it's kind of that tweener size.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's where I'm getting
at.
There's
tons of that in Montana. You're right.
You want a 5'11", 6 foot, 215, 220 pound kid.
Yeah.
Fast, instinctive, smart.
Faster than a
play nickel
linebacker,
for-
but not fast enough to be safety.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have to have comparable speed, actually, right? So
Ideally, but not
Yeah.
required.
I'm just thinking future. Like you could see probably a lot of
Yeah.
homegrown talent coming up through the ranks, going, "Man, I'm going to make a name for myself. I'm on Montana State playing nickel, and then get a shot at the NFL." It's a clear path.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a really good point. Like you could see like guys like Nolan Askelson, if he's stuck at 215, could be a nickel, right?
Yeah.
Like guys like that. There are tons of guys like that in Montana. You'd bulk them up, try and get him to 220, 225, and make him play linebacker, or keep him at like 210, 215, and then they're a nickel, or even like 200. Boom.
I think the thing that separates the nickel from me from the linebacker is not necessarily the run support, because I feel like we ask the same from those guys. Although the linebackers are filling gaps, and the nickel is more doing like more contain to me, like or setting the edge. Is that a gap? I'm not sure. That's where I don't know what I don't know is coverage. Like a nickel needs to be able to run. They need to be able to cover one-on-one. I think Caden Dowler, Miles Jackson have that skill set that Danny Yu, Kid O'Reilly don't.
It's true. That's true.
Let's talk corners. Let's talk about the secondary. Okay.
All right.
Corner, we have Simeon Woodard, who's a senior.
That,
So this
that
is
happens.
weird.
Once in a while, there's a guy that you feel like he's been there forever. And then other times, there's guys that are like, how are you a senior already?
So there's like 3 levels of seniors, though, right now.
True seniors?
Yeah, there's 2 seniors, which this is actually true. So Simeon Woodard played all 4 years. He also has his red shirt. He also has his COVID shirt. So who knows? My guess is we'll probably see Simeon next year as well. We have Andrew
is this
Paltrow.
the last year of COVID senior guys? Because next one will be 2021 recruits. Will be seniors 4 years. Well, we're running out of that stupid COVID extra crap soon.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
So Simeon is starting. Andrew Paltrow is backing him up.
Well, it says on mine, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure Woodard guaranteed that starting spot from everything I've been hearing.
Okay. Yeah. I do see the or right there. Paltrow being a sophomore. Opposite of that, we have John Johnson. I think who is
Guaranteed to start.
Senior.
He was a good find. He was a portal guy, right?
He was new last year, right?
Yeah, he was a portal guy, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember where he came from. JC maybe. May have been JC guy, but big addition.
And Takari Carr, who Coach Vegan was giving a little props, made some significant strides. So corner's not the one spot I'm concerned about, because I feel like we have a legion of new talent coming up. Like Texas built talent, fast dudes, Jace McMillan, etc., coming up through the ranks. I wouldn't be surprised to see some young guys getting some significant playing time, to be honest.
Yeah, so you think some of the guys that aren't even on this too deep could potentially play.
Oh, absolutely.
And you mentioned Jace McMillan. Who else you got? Anyone else that comes to mind?
No, Jace is a name I hear a couple times. He's returning punts, but he's also been getting some praise on just his defensive skills.
Well, we got Jackson Harmer still on the roster. Wasn't he pushing for a spot last year?
Yeah, I guess so.
Just a sophomore, 6'3", 200-pound cornerback from Alaska. I remember him. The name's really familiar to me. So, and there's JJ
6'3"
Dolan.
sounds like he should transfer over to free
right.
safety.
We got JJ Dolan back there too. Yeah, there's some guys, man. There's some guys back there. Oh yeah, the Danny Yu's brother, Taki Uliv-Kipa. He's back there too. So there's some talent there. So yeah, you're right. I'm not too concerned about that, and I'm not concerned about the starting safeties. Strong safety, Rylan Ort, 6'1", 210, coming back for his senior campaign. I'm stoked for him. I think he's going to have a breakout. He's already kind of broken out, but I think he's going to have a stellar senior season. Drew Polidor, I'm pretty excited to see what he can do if he can stay healthy. I think he's one of the more imposing safeties in the Big Sky. He's only listed at 180, which is crazy. He just looks way bigger than 180 when you look at the guy. His arms are like just bricks. So I don't know. He's 6'1", 180, junior plus. Backed up by a guy who had a pretty good campaign last year on and off, Blake Stillwell, also identical size, 6'1", 180. I feel good about those three safeties. The backup to Rylan Ort is Brock Steele, a name that should be pretty familiar with Bobcat fans. Coy Steele's brother. There was a running back, right, that transferred out, another Steele.
I think you're thinking of the Coons.
I'm thinking of Coon. Yeah, the Coons and Steels. It's fun. Those are funny last names. Just say this. It's not like small town names. Brock Steele, 6'1", 205 pound. Sophomore is backing up Rylan Ort, and I don't know much about him. Other than that Steele pedigree, but I haven't heard anything about him and how his abilities are at safety.
Yeah, neither have I.
So if Rylan Ort goes down, I imagine we'd probably do some shuffling before we had Brock Steele start, would be my guess.
So if Rylan Ort goes down, we're going to move Caden Dowler back there. My guess is, in the chatter on Bobcat Nation is Caden Dowler, Miles Jackson are going to be on the field at the same time.
How so?
I'm not sure. how that works.
Drew Pollard would come off.
Well, I think Drew's hurt still.
You think he is currently hurt?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think he is. I don't think it's the hand stuff that we were dealing with last year, but
Man, we got to have that guy healthy, man. I think he's a key piece.
right.
Because he was really good at South Dakota State last year in the regular season.
No, he feels like a heat-seeking missile every time I watch him.
He's
like,
one of those
that guy
guys where
just
you
making
look
plays.
at him and it's like that's like an FBS looking body, right? Who was the coach? I remember they saying that one of our coaches said that about Bo Sandland, the tight end that we had. He's like, that's what they look like. Just quite simply, that's what they look like. I think Drew Pollard is one of those, that's what they look like, guys.
Oh my gosh. So the Coons and the Steels are both from Sheridan, Wyoming.
I was going to say, they're all Wyoming kids, I'm pretty sure.
I was like, they're like interchangeable in my brain. So there it is.
Yeah, that's what it was. So, okay. So, feeling good about the secondary, man. The top level's good. Maybe the only question mark I have is that back up to strong safety at Ort goes down. But other than that, man, I feel really pretty good about that group. They're mostly, we got your senior leadership across the board. In every position, there's a senior, if not starting, if not fighting for the starting spot. I think it's going to be a solid group, man. There's a lot of seniors, and there's a lot of upperclassmen on this defense.
Buy or sell, the Bobcats averaged 2 turnovers per game.
What did we average last year?
I don't know.
Actually,
sounds like a lot, though.
I was going to pull it up. Yeah, 24 turnovers seems, well, not ridiculous, I guess. But we have a question about interceptions, so I need to pull up some stats here because I can't really answer that until I have a frame of reference. Okay.
So before as you're pulling up some stats, and I'm getting kind of prepared for that as well, let's talk about the main thing about the defense. Talk about Bobby Daly taking over as offensive coordinator.
I'm stoked. I'm stoked.
You're stoked?
Yeah.
Yeah, just give me your general thoughts on that.
I might have to go back and listen to what I said. I feel like I wasn't completely anti Willie Mack Garza, but things I think there had to be a change of some kind, and I don't know if it necessarily meant Willie had to go, but with his, his indiscretions, his little run-ins there, I think it just made sense. And whatever you want to say about all that, I don't think any of that matters necessarily. I'm just really stoked that a Montana guy, a Montana State legend, football player himself, is getting his chance. By all accounts, players love him. They want to run through a brick wall for him. I'm really stoked to have Bobby Daly lead the defense because I think he's a guy who could, give him his chance at DC. He does well there. Waits his time. He's a guy who could be head coach someday. Like these are the guys you want coming up through your coaching ranks and sticking around. So I'm stoked for Bobby Daly, man. I'm really excited to see what he can do with the defense.
I was thinking on my ride home today from Run Club. When I think about Bobby Daly, actually the very first thing that comes to my mind is potential head coach.
Yeah.
It's like literally the first thing I think about. I got to talk to him not last summer. Or no, it was last summer when I was over in Spokane. I live in Spokane. When I was over at the Airway Heights when they do the Big Sky kickoff. You shake the hand and you just get a general sense of how you feel around someone. He just feels like a leader. And when you start seeing the players talk about him like they do, I think Bobcat fans feel it that if Coach Vegan moves on, whatever happens, and there's a vacancy for Montana State, Bobby Daly should be atop of the list. I think K-9 is another name that gets floated around. But that would be a kind of a big cultural difference. Like K-9 is not cut from the vegan cloth. Although Daly is cut from the vegan tree, I feel like he has, different experiences. Was Daly hired on with Choate? Was he a Choate holdover? I'm kind of
Daly was at Idaho, right?
Yeah, I know. When though?
I think I want to know. I think Vegan brought him on.
Okay.
I'd have to double check that. Somebody fact check me on that, but I think he came on with Vegan.
I'm super excited. Like you said, stoked is something. Yes, all of that, and I just got the general feeling that guys were respectful of Coach Garza. I remember talking to Nolan last year. I was like, how's things with Coach Garza? And he's like, oh, they're good. Whatnot. But they weren't effusive. Like, man, I love Coach Daly. I'm ready to roll through this wall for him. Kind of like Rylan Ort was saying. And you just watch the guys rally around him. Body language tells a lot of them. And this was like a knock on Vegan. I think like Vegan missed the boat hiring Garza. I thought he should have hired Daly from the get-go.
Or Ione.
Yeah, or Ione, right? And now you hear the guy saying, like, when you watch Daly speak, he's like, yeah, things I want to see, I'm hearing. More aggressive, flying to the ball, game tackling. All these things that are just like physical, aggression. That's what I want to see when it comes to a Bobcat defense. Not this bend break kind of deal. I want to dictate terms, man.
Yes. Yeah, he was hired in 2019. And he played for Pete K, right? Kwiatkowski?
Wait a second. You said he was hired in 2019?
Yeah.
So yeah, he was under Choate.
Yep, Choate. Yeah. So, but he played under Pete Kwiatkowski, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mike Kramer.
No. Daly was a Nash player.
Now you're thinking of Brett, the other Daly.
Really?
Let's see. He played in 2006, 7, and 8, so he would have played for both.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Anyway, yeah, I think he's going to bring much more aggressive style of defense. And let's not forget who's coaching the safeties right now. Jody Owens.
J-O.
One of the most aggressive, competitive guys that has played linebacker for Montana State. So we got
favorite of the R&R.
two guys that are cut from the cloth that you want if you want an aggressive defense, you got Bobby Daly back there coaching. You got Jody Owens back there coaching.
He's
Love
still
it.
on my Mount Rushmore, man.
Absolutely.
I love Jody Owens.
Love that guy. Just getting back on.
Yeah, he was on.
He was
early on.
Yep. So, I mean, there's another reason to get
Love
excited
the
for
coach.
the safety play that we're just talking about. Jody Owens back there.
Man, I love Jody Owens. Just made a big smile on my face. Thank you for mentioning him.
I know. Actually, when I was going to look at the bio for Bobby Daly to see when he was hired, I was like, "Oh yeah, Jody Owens." It brought a smile to my face too. I saw him right there, his smiling face. Defensively, man, what do you want to see out of the defense, or should we answer some Cooley questions first?
So I think we riff a little bit just off the top of our heads, a little back and forth, and then we'll go into the Golden Coolies.
Tackling. I want to see tackling.
Which they've been practicing. That's what they've been telling us.
Yeah, well, they can practice all they want. They still got to do it in a game.
Yeah.
I got to wash that taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
Too many lapses last year where guys are running free. If anything, if you're watching a Bobcat football game and it brings back flashes of that 2014 Jamie Marshall led defense at all, if that brings back any comparisons in your head, you got problems.
Are you saying you have problems?
I'm saying the Bobcat defense had problems.
Okay.
I have lots of problems. Always, at all times. But that's not what we're here for. That's between me and other... Yeah, never mind. But, yeah, I just want to see tackling and just... I think you nailed it. You nailed it when you said, like, you want to see us dictate terms. I think that's perfect.
I want to see Montana State just be more aggressive. Fly to the ball. I hate to say it. I kind of want us to have the same mentality and look that the Grizzlies have. A little whisper right there. Grizzlies kick ass on defense,
Yeah.
man. I hate to admit it.
It's a more entertaining brand of defense.
I'm not talking 3-3-5. I don't care about that. I just wanted the mentality. And
Yeah.
I think that lacks. Under Coach Garza, it did.
Yeah, I agree with that. It did not lack that under Jeff Choate.
No.
And I can't even... Who was the defense coordinator?
Oh, the guy at Colorado? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What is his name? That's just 1 year, though. Oh, I can't remember his name. Who was before him? Tiger
Rack. Yeah.
But anyway, those defenses were very aggressive and attacking. But they also had Trey Anderson and NFL players all over the place. So, but it's still a mentality, though. It's still a mentality.
Yeah, I want to be nasty. I want to be the bully. I want to be chippy. I want to be brash and all the things you want to do, like when you feel like you want to fight. You're like, I'm the biggest man. I'm going to kick your ass. I want all of that. I want that to be the identity for Montana State. I don't want us to be the guys who are the smartest and the cleanest. And I don't care. I just want to dictate terms, and I want you to feel like you're afraid of us. That's how I want our defense to play.
Do you think Sean Howe brings that?
I don't know him enough. I think he's a tactician. From what I've seen, he's just like the smartest like guy on the field as far as coaches go, and he's hard from what I've heard. So I like that.
He seems like a fiery guy who brings out the fire in players. To me.
And I like that because he's not the head of the defense. The head of the defense needs to be a mentality more than a scheme.
You think so, huh?
I think it just comes down to that. Defense.
You think that's what South Dakota State is all mentality, no scheme?
No, mentality first. We're the toughest sons of bitches out there. You're going to mess with us. You're going to get your ass kicked.
But you still gotta have some X's and O's back there.
Yeah. I get that. But the mentality part was what was missing from Montana State last year. We probably had the X's and O's, but are we dogs?
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Do we have a coach that demands that? Is there a culture at Montana State that facilitates that promotes that? Is there fights going on in the field? Like, here's the deal. I'm a huge Bengals fan, and I keep up with Cincinnati Bengals, if you're not familiar with those guys.
Boo.
I keep up with them on, social media and all that stuff. And there's an article that came out on The Athletic just recently talking about skirmishes that are happening in the practices. They're like, this is a good thing. I'm like, I totally agree. I want players to get chippy. I want players to press the boundaries. I want the competitive thing to just rise to a boil. And I want it to be on game day where, like, you're not going to F with us because we're the toughest sons of guns out here, and test us on that. Bring it, because we're just going to mess you up. I feel like guys like Braden Conkle had that. He just oozed that, like, all the time. I just want that from Montana State. Inject that into our defense somehow. Inject that into me. Obviously, I'm getting hyped up on that right now. That's what I want.
I can't disagree with that. I'm gonna be.
Let's go.
I think that sounds fantastic, at least comparatively to what we've been seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to Garza real quick, like, he had a track record. Like, his defenses, when he was a safeties coach or secondary coach at McNeese State, they had like the worst passing defense in the league. So, like, whatever it was about Garza, he could be the smartest X and O's guys in the world, but if the guys don't want to play for him, or if they don't have any passion, or whatever it is, like, there's so much more to coaching than that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping that Daly, Howe are the guys that can kind of give us that edge we've been missing.
I think they will. I think Daly gets it. Yeah.
I'm excited. So the single biggest thing for me, though, still tackling, and yours is fire.
Yeah.
Edge, nastiness, whatever you want to call it. I think we'll be a lot better. Want to get into some Cooley questions?
Yeah. I'm just checking to see who was our defensive coordinator. Freddie Banks.
Freddie Banks. There it is. Freddie Banks. Bolted
I
after
did not
1 year.
remember that.
One magical year where he had a bunch of NFL guys on a team, and went to Colorado State, where he did not replicate his defensive success, at least his first year. I don't know what happened after that, but I know, pretty sure Colorado State lost to Sac State the year after he left. So, Johnny Longman, he's been on here because I've had the exact same debate in my head how to say his Twitter handle. He says, Stats Perform came out with a great article highlighting statistical categories shared by the top 5 FCS teams. Montana State had the fewest number of interceptions last season compared to the other teams. This is for the top 5 FCS teams, not like the entire country. How/who can we look to for positive change on the defense? Well, I feel like we kind of hit on the positive change part of it, but I wanted to that's where I was pulling up the stats. Montana State was 4th in the Big Sky in interceptions last year. So not great, but not terrible.
So I don't have that stat in front of me, but 2 things come to mind. 1, interceptions are predicated on 2 things in my brain: pressure up front and coverage on the back end. Mm-hmm. Can we be more dynamic up front? I think we will. 2, and this is a huge thing, we're going to play more man this year. That came out, and that was a little nugget found in all these player interviews that I was listening to. I can't remember who was saying it. They're like, Coach Garza didn't let us play man. They were playing a lot of zone on the back end, cover 3. We're gonna play more man.
So do you think that's a philosophy thing, or do you think that we trust maybe our personnel more?
I think both. I think it's both and. I think we're going to have more.
So interceptions wise, I think, yes, we should be able to improve that number. it's a sign of an aggressive defense, typically. If you have lots of interceptions, it usually means you're being aggressive. Montana, number 1. Sac State, number 2. There you go. Guess who's number 3 in interceptions last year?
Idaho.
Northern Colorado.
Serious?
Of all random teams.
Wow.
They had 12, just like us. In fact, they did it in one less game. So, but let's roll it down. The part I was actually looking at these stats here because I was looking at the interception statistics based on this Twitter question. Thank you for the question. That was a great question. And I was scrolling down to see our total turnovers. This smacked me in the face. Dead last in the Big Sky Conference in fumbles recovered, Montana State. 3 the entire year out of 12 games. We recovered 3 fumbles.
Yeah. To me, that speaks of flying to the ball, gain tackling. I can't say that tonight.
You know what's hilarious about it, though? Guess who's number 3 in forced fumbles? So we forced a lot of fumbles, just couldn't fall on them. I remember watching games where the ball would pop out and they went right back to the offense.
Yeah.
Sometimes the ball, the football's a funny shape for, it makes some funny bounces. Didn't bounce our way sometimes. You force 12 fumbles and you recover 3 of them. I feel like that's a bad stat. And there's nothing you can do about that. That's just pure random luck. So
can you have more guys around the ball?
It could be. It could be flying to the ball. There could be more guys there to get that fumble recovery. So that's actually an interesting comment there. Because that could contribute to if you turn that 20% success rate into a 30% success rate in recovering forced fumbles, that's a game-changing number.
Coach Daly talked about emphasizing that. It's something they want to work on. You're going to get what you emphasize. Came out and said, we're going to emphasize flying to the ball, tackling.
Brendan Henshaw, also on X, asks us, who needs to have a big season for our defense to be successful? I'm thinking one of the Danny Yu / McCade or one of the corners. I already kind of touched on this. I think Danny Yu has to have a big year. Do you have a different answer?
Yeah, I'm going to go Ken Dowler, Rylan Nort.
You get to pick one guy. I'm making you pick one guy. He did not say that. I'm saying that to you. Pick one guy.
Brody Greavy.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, if you can make me pick one guy, probably going to be Sebastian Valdez, Brody Greavy, Caden Dowler, Drew Polidor.
Sebastian Valdez, huh?
Or shit. Excuse me.
I'm not editing that out. That's staying there forever. I don't even know what you're trying to say.
Not bad.
Shuffling papers like you're going to find an answer in there somewhere.
Blake Schmidt. I forgot his name there for a moment.
That's funny.
This is what drinking before the podcast does and then drinking during the podcast does.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right.
Okay. Did you settle on a final answer?
Yeah, I'm still going Brody Greavy.
Brody Greavy. Okay. Solid pick. I think that one's an easy. Well, I don't know. He's guaranteed to have a good season. I think that, but is his contributions? Yeah, I would say yes. Because that all leads back to the interceptions and forced fumbles. I think he's a big contributor in both of those things. Pressure on the defensive line leads to interceptions and fumbles. And hard-hitting aggressiveness leads to fumbles, like you're talking about. The defense. Guys just making hits sometimes. Just pops the ball loose. So I think there's a good chance we can improve on both those categories. And Greeby and Danny, you will be big factors in that. Thank you for the question. That's a good question. I'm going to switch it over to you for Cooley questions off of Bobcat Nation or anywhere else you might have any.
Okay, Bling Blue says, does it make more sense to move Ort to nickel or slide Kalen Dowler back to strong safety?
I think you leave Ort at safety because he has experience there and he's proven commodity. And I think
Ort
Dowler
had played nickel.
What's that?
Ort had played nickel.
I know, but I think he's the guy you want back there.
Okay.
He's got the most experience, and that's an important position. But
It's a good question.
So is nickel. It is a good question. I think you can win either way.
Gosh, I'm thinking Ort back at nickel. I think flip flop.
You getting enticed by that?
Yeah, I am. I just Ort seems his body type seems better for the run fit.
Yeah, but the safety can't get beat deep, and I could see Dollar getting beaten deep.
But strong safety is not the same as free safety. So free safety is the guy that we're going to be. That's the Polidor, Stillwell back there. Strong safety is going to be. So if you think about it in terms of like strength and like speed, you got your middle linebackers, your linebackers, you got your nickel, and then strong safety, free safety, right? So
you're still going to be asking a lot of coverage out of your strong safety, though. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're relatively interchangeable. I think Montana State system, body size wise.
If Caden Dowler though has the speed or genetics, which he does, of his young or twin Taco Dowler, why not play them at strong safety? I'm with you, Cats. Bleeding Blue. Put Ort back at nickel. Yes.
No. Ort stays at safety. Dowler stays at nickel. Boom. Yeah. Beautiful. I think they're both good options.
Boom. Beautiful. We disagree. Great job. All right.
We disagree. Which is relatively uncommon, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Joe Catch Joe says, who will this year's younger player that steps up and stands out on the defensive side of the ball? And Joe Powell seems to be a consensus pick. Mine would be Zach Cruz.
I'm going to pick Hunter Parsons.
Whoa.
Wild card. Only because you picked Zach Cruz. Now, Parsons
I didn't pick Zach Cruz. Joe Catch Joe.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Parsons is a junior, so I'm not sure he constitutes as a younger player, but he hasn't played very much. But I don't know if Iden's a guy who's ready to be an every down guy yet. So I think Parsons could be a guy who's not going to start, but I think he could be a guy that kind of surprises Bobcat fans. Like, who's that guy? People, if it makes you look at the roster, like, who's that? I think he's that kind of guy this year.
I'm going to go different Hunter. I'm going to go Hunter Charbonneau.
Reaching way down the depth chart. Same position, isn't he?
Defensive tackle.
Okay. What's his weight? What's he listed at?
235, 6'2".
At tackle?
I've heard good things, man. His name just keeps popping up.
235 tackle.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm going to go that or Jace McMillan.
I'm pulling it up to see. Okay. You're looking at something funky, man. The roster has Hunter Charbonneau at 6'2", 280.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I'm going to stick with mine.
That makes much more sense at defensive tackle. It's like 235. He'd be the smallest player on, and that's a linebacker.
I mean, my eyes might be fuzzy right now, but they're not that fuzzy. That's what this document says. So
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, well, he's 280. So
okay,
that's good. He's from Fairview, Montana.
Yep. Got that right. Okay. Let's see.
We both picked a Hunter. What are the odds?
Cat Attack says last year Bobcat defense was pretty good. Tough schedule. They gave up 20 points per game until the last two games where they gave up 37 points and 35 or 37 and 35 points. So including those, it ends up at 22.8 points per game. Question for you is, where should we set the over-under? He says, if it's 15, I take the over, but if it's 20, I take the under.
I was thinking.
How many points?
I was thinking. I set it at 19.9. That's where my head went.
Oh my gosh.
Over under 19.9.
Ooh, points per game.
I'm taking the under. But I did good. I give myself a pat on the back because I think it's a good over and under number because I can't tell.
17 and a half.
So you're going under 19.
Yeah.
So you're for sure they're under 19. Okay.
I think
That's tough. That's a tough number, man.
I'm bullish. I'm bullish on our defense. I haven't said that. I mean, this whole thing has been about defense. We're hour, 16 minutes in. I'm bullish on this. We're going to be better.
I do also
all around.
I do also think that we'll control the clock a little bit better offensively, which tends to lead to lower scoring defense outputs. So
don't get me going on time of possession.
Go listen to the last episode if you want to hear fully talk about time of possession for too much time of possession. Your time of possession was 80%.
Right. Okay.
Good question. That's a great question. I could see. I'm hoping we keep it under 20, and if we do, I think it's going to be a solid defense.
Okay. Smith 427. What changes do you hope to see under Coach Staley? I feel like we talked about this a little bit.
We hit on that, I think. I think we kind of summed it up a little bit. You want to see aggressiveness. I want to see tackling. I think that's pretty much going to echo a lot of Montana State fans' sentiments on that.
And the last question, again from Smith 427. Who's the most irreplaceable member of the defense? In other words, which position group would you least want to have to go to the bench for?
Well, that's the way he rephrased that in the end kind of changed my answer. I was going to say Brody Grady is the most irreplaceable guy. But then you look at all right, well, Zach Cruz and maybe, we might still be okay, right?
Linebackers.
Linebacker. I'm more concerned about, if Danny Yu goes down. Or O'Reilly goes down. It was like Cole Bullock. Yeah. I feel linebacker. Linebacker is the group that I'm most concerned about the depth.
Could Rylan Ort play linebacker?
I don't know. 210's not very big.
Could. Yeah, I think in a pinch he could.
I think in a pinch he could. I don't think you want him to. Not sure he's got the big enough frame for it.
That's a good question. Though. All right, that's it, man. We got to pick a winner. Anything jump out to you?
I like that last question.
From Smith?
Yeah, let me double check the Twitter one, because there's one I liked on Twitter too, real quick. Nope. I like that one. Let's go with that one.
All right. Well, Smith 427 put two of them out there, and he only has 22 posts on Bobcat Nation.
Well, he's about to have a good percentage of his posts earn him a golden coolie.
Woo! Let's go.
Statistics.
I'm going to send you a golden coolie. I'm going to send you a sticker, too.
That's right. How many stickers you got left?
A lot.
Good.
Definitely.
That's what I like to hear. Piece of poop. My browser just bye-byed himself again. Ugh. All right.
That's the outtake right there. Piece of poop.
All right. So we awarded the golden coolie, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's park this car. Let's get that out of here.
All right. Bring us in.
Bring us out. In, out. It's all the same. All right. Thanks again to our sponsor, Gear Up Sports. Appreciate the sponsorship for another year. You guys should check them out. They do great work. They're great guys over there. Check them out. Visit us at rrcatcast.com. You can hit us up on Twitter, rrcatcast, Instagram, rrcatcast, Facebook. Don't worry about Facebook. We don't check that at all. rrcatcast@gmail.com. We do check the emails. Foley, let's get out of here, man. Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.